Today, lighting up our cities and homes has become a necessity. At this very moment, billions of lights are shining around the world. However, this massive amount of artificial light has disrupted the Earth's flora and fauna. Despite having natural sources of light, such as the moon, stars and sun, humans have created an overwhelming amount of artificial lightnings. Researchers often study these natural light sources using machines that contribute themselves to pollution. This led us to the question, how can we reduce these impacts? To find clues, we decided to interview Julien Milli, a researcher specialized in light pollution, the formation of exoplanets, and lab pollution.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm an astronomer. I'm working at IPAC, which is the Institute for Planetology and Astrophysics in Grenoble. I'm studying planet formation, mostly from an observational point of view. And I'm trying to understand how we make planets from small dust, micron-sized dust, and how this dust grows to form large bodies. On the other part, I'm also teaching at the university in Grenoble.
Do you know the carbon footprint of your institute IPAC?
I know the carbon footprint of my institute. On average, we emit about 10 tons of CO2 per employee. It's about the same as what an average citizen in France emits. But keep in mind that these 10 tons that I mentioned is only for our professional activity. A little bit more than half of this emission comes from the large infrastructure that we're using. And the rest is more or less equally divided between the buildings. And then we have travels. So researchers travel, for instance, to go to conferences or to go observe in Chile, in Hawaii, for instance. And the last part is purchases. So we have to buy goods like equipment, for instance. So those three things, purchases, buildings, and the travels, this makes the other half.
Is there a way to reduce the carbon footprint of research in astronomy?
So, of course, the most efficient way to reduce the carbon footprint of astronomy is to cut the use of telescopes, because that's the main part. And I think we actually don't need all those infrastructure. It's good to have maybe one big one. I think it doesn't make sense to have so many. And then we can also work on travels. For instance, right now we're working remotely with teleconferences, for instance. We don't really need to travel to the other side of the world to meet colleagues. We can cut our budget of emission. And the goal would be, of course, to go below 2 tons, more or less, before 2030.
What is your implication in Lab 1.5 and what is the goal of the collective?
So Labo 1.5 is a French research collective whose goal is really to understand where the carbon footprint emitted by research comes from. And then the second goal is also to help the different institutes to cut down their emission. For that, they have also developed a tool to measure first how much CO2 is emitted by the various institutes. This tool is called GES 1.5, which stands for gaz à effet de serre 1.5.
What is light pollution and what are its consequences?
So light pollution, it's all the sources of artificial light that actually make the sky less visible and the stars less visible. So if you look at the sky in the center of Grenoble, for instance, you can see maybe 100 stars maximum. While if you go in an area that is not polluted by light pollution, you can see up to 5,000 stars. Fauna and flora are very much affected by this problem. For instance, migrating birds, most of them migrate at night, and they use stars or the Milky Way to orient themselves and know where they have to go. So if the sky is very bright, they are disoriented. Insects, for instance, they are attracted by light, and it's been estimated that there is about several hundreds of insects that are killed every night by a single light bulb. You may have heard that we lost about 60% of insects over the past 30 years, which is quite large and quite a problem as well, because insects participate to pollination, for instance.
How should we face them?
So there are a lot of impacts of light pollution, and that's why we try to measure it and then to better also help the cities like Grenoble to adapt their lighting policy to reduce light pollution.
Which sustainable development goals will you choose to represent your field of research?
I would say it's probably the quality education is the most the goal that would be the easiest for me to pick. So this is where I can have an impact, because when we're teaching, we are also sharing values with the students. We are really teaching that there is no planet B, for us at least. The Earth is unique, and we should really preserve our ecosystem.
So thank you for coming. We are grateful that you can talk about the research and action for makes the world more sustainable.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure for me to be here.
Thanks to Julien Milli, we are able to understand how we, humans, pollute and destroy our worlds. We hope you learned more about light pollution and low-carbon astronomy, and that, like us, you will know how to be more careful and reduce your carbon footprints.